Hello, I am Jasky, also known as Mr. Sick Cunt. We are in Australia. It's part of the everyday vernacular, Australia's most viewed street interviewer. But I'm going to be this is my first live stream. So thank you, anyone who can join me. I'm an absolute novice, so I cannot see much of what's going on. So bear with me. We'll get better as we go. But I'm going to be doing what I've been doing here for years, is going live, and while being live, breaking down a weird activity that I love to do, and that is the soft skills and communication strategies and the nuances of body language and power dynamics of the top 1% and how they use that to their advantage or strategically to get where they want to go. It's changed my life by doing this and obsessing over it for 20 plus years. And hopefully by sharing some of it, it can improve your life. Maybe not change it. That's a little bit dramatic. And I've got a bunch of notes. I'll tell you where I'm going to jump into here today to make it useful, but to tell you how it's changed my life and what my credentials are, if you have no idea who the fuck you're watching and who this person is. I am the most viewed Australian street interviewer, and I've generated over 500 million views on the various social media platforms by interviewing strangers. Interviewed more than 5,000 strangers now over the many years, and have had to navigate tense, uncomfortable, high-profile situations with high-profile people, and challenging situations, and using communication skills to build rapport, disarm tension, the whole thing. And not only the entertainment side, I've also done stand-up, obviously, not obviously, obvious to me, maybe not obvious to you, for 7+ years, traveled the country and emceed internationally to audiences in the thousands for some of those events. But also on the business side, being in business for about 15 years, being involved in over $100 million worth of sales, driven mostly by cold calling. Anyway, that's the backstory. I hate trying to self-promote, but anyway, that gives you a sense of credentials. But what we're going to be doing here today, and on subsequent lives, there'll be different topics, but essentially today I'm going to react to and break down the communication skills of people that have had probably the most amount of training. The person I'm going to be breaking down, Donald Trump, is one of the most well-known people in the world at the moment. I think you can mention his name to anyone, they know who he is. But he has had an incredible amount of training, and I love breaking down. Again, I've got no political affiliation. I couldn't give a fuck. I couldn't care less. I don't deal with anything political. I'm not going to make any political points. Purely breaking down the most trained people on making that first impression. And he recently met our Prime Minister, Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. And I want to show you the first meeting that they had, and how some of these people who've had so many years of practice of making the best first impression, how they use body language, how they use words, and how they position themselves to get the best outcome possible. Okay, it's a very short clip, but we can hopefully get a lot out of it. I got a lot out of it, and I hope you do as well. Now, bear with me. I have very little idea how to use this StreamYard thing, which you can see over here. But let me see if I can play that video for you, and then we'll do the analysis. Yo. There we go. Great success. It's a black screen. There we go. There's the video. All right. So this is the first interaction, I believe. This is all I've been able to source, is when the Australian Prime Minister comes and meets Donald Trump. There is so many interesting nuances of body language and power dynamics here that I found it absolutely fascinating. So let's play.
President, wonderful to see you. Ready, face? Sure, Mark. It sure is. One of the long ones. It sure is.
President Trump, your message to the people of Australia.
We love them.
What do you hope to accomplish today with the Prime Minister?
A lot. Great things. Thank you very much. We're going to get a lot done.
Okay, so that's the video. How long is it? 20 seconds. Now, analyzing 20 seconds is is interesting. But I've got some notes here, and I'll try and break down as much of this as I can. Well, I'm going to just verbalize what I normally look at to then practice for myself to get better results. So now the first thing you will notice here is Trump is standing very still. Now, stillness is confidence, and is something I repeat to myself a lot. And you will notice, if I just play it in very slow motion, he doesn't really move much. His shoulders are broad. He's facing forward. He's owning the space, and there's no real smile. And I feel like the power dynamic he is trying to reflect here in his body language, which is easy to gather, is that I am the one in charge. I've got control, and whoever I'm meeting, you're coming to me. So he doesn't move first. You'll see the Australian Prime Minister comes and shakes his hand first. Obviously, he is getting out of the car, so Trump has the advantage here with being able to stand in one position and control his body language, whereas someone who's moving has less ability to do that. But another interesting thing you'll notice here. Now, again, I'm prefacing this not saying anyone's advantageous or not, because it can be strategic from both sides. Whereas the Australian Prime Minister may be trying to employ the strategy of looking like the power dynamic inferior, to break down any sort of tension and allowing Donald Trump to have the egotistical higher status in power. That may be the game he's playing, because you'll realize by the end of it, that is what we end up digesting from this interaction. But let's have a look. So standing very still, an interesting part about the handshake you'll notice here is he doesn't move very far. Limited movement indicates a level of confidence. The more fidgety, the more movement, the more extension of your body, and more hand gestures, more maneuvering of different parts of your body is typically a person who is not calm and confident in themselves. Okay, again, strategically, you can maneuver it how you like. But here, he doesn't really move his hand very far, whereas the Australian Prime Minister is completely outstretched. So if he wanted to try and take a more powerful, immediate approach, you would try and approach closer before shaking hands, right? I am confident. I'm not going to reach out to you as much. So you come in closer, you shake hands without too much of a stretch, because that, just through that handshake, you can see the power is completely in one person's control here. Now, it is it's a political tug of war here. The initial greeting is always the very first part of a power dynamic. When you meet anybody, you're doing a boardroom meeting, you're meeting a higher status person, and you want to reflect yourself as also someone who has some level of status to have that interaction. It is that first interaction. How do you represent yourself the best to indicate the level of the dynamics in power, that there might be a differential in the workplace, but how can you reflect it with your body language? So here's what I'm trying to get to. You look forward after the initial handshake. Here's something interesting that the Australian Prime Minister does. Let me just play it at normal speed. Notice that. Notice the handshake. So it is a interesting variation of a handshake. Now, to grab somebody's hand and do the slap on the back of someone's palm. So you're doing a typical handshake, which is a very neutral handshake. Straight hand. Other person gives you the straight hand. That is a very neutral handshake. There's no one trying to dictate that I am I'm here in control, or I want to showcase my control. I want to showcase that I am alpha in this situation, or I want to showcase that I'm, giving you a level of warmth by giving you that status that gives you your ego. Or anyway, whatever. I'm repeating the same thing. But the variation that Albanese has tried to implement here is a very bro handshake. I wish I wasn't holding this mic, but you've got your hand and he's slapping the back of the hand. Now that is something you do with a mate. Like, hey mate, how are you? Like a bit of a slap in the back of the hand. It is not typically seen when you're doing a handshake with someone who is a political ally, or someone in the political sphere, and you want to get a very professional outcome or a professional greeting. So I wonder if the Australian Prime Minister has done that again strategically to try and be a mate. Hey, I'm your buddy, because that's an interesting variation of a handshake to take. I'll show you again. That tap on the back of the hands. It's not seen in a professional environment. So he potentially is trying to go, hey, we're mates. Let me make that first impression by trying to be buddy with the Prime Minister, as opposed to, hey, I'm here as a strictly on a very professional manner. Obviously, they're having a professional meeting. It's two leaders of different countries, but it was very interesting to see that. And the other thing you will notice here, it's not as visible, but you'll see that as soon as the handshake has commenced, Trump's extension of his hands are very, very limited. He's not moving his hands very far whatsoever. The Australian Prime Minister comes to him, so he has remained incredibly still through the entire interaction. Again, I do understand the Australian Prime Minister has one person has to greet the other person. So if the Australian Prime Minister was just chilling out here, it would be a very weird interaction. Someone has to greet the other person. But when you're trying to greet a party, you want to start shaking hands. If you are trying to come across if you're trying to play the power dynamics to have a flat seesaw, you want to be as close to the person when you shake hands as possible. Stretching, coming to them, the person standing still immediately is at the higher point of that scale. Now, what you'll notice is Trump moves his hand slightly upwards. So the handshake begins like this, and he is a subtle variation of his hand going above, which is a signal of saying, I have got the control here. I'm the one in charge. A very subtle movement, which you may not notice, but you can see his hand moves slightly to the top, and it's kind of that the political juggle, the tug of war, to state that, hey, look, subtly I'm showing control. And what I've got here next is, if you look at this 5-second mark. Well, firstly, I mean, this is just off the top here, is they weirdly standing very close. And it's also again, they're in front of cameras, so it's not a interaction that people are having without anyone seeing this. Millions of people are watching this. So there is a little bit of play, a little bit of showcasing your public facing self in this interaction. But bringing him so close, because obviously Trump has initiated the Australian Prime Minister having to come so close and standing so close to one another, it is kind of subtly saying that I am comfortable to invade your private space, because this is not a normal distance to be standing close to someone. Like, this is my face to the camera is kind of an uncomfortable place to be for most people. Like, I would never have an interaction on the streets with a stranger at that at that proximity. But I feel like it was in Trump's control on how close the Australian Prime Minister is coming to him, and he's chosen very, very at an uncomfortable proximity of personal space, and that is again a subtle cue, I believe, to mention, I am comfortable here. He's not flinching. He's not moving. He's staying exactly where he is, and the Australian Prime Minister is breathing through Trump's nose. So, and then what you notice here, it's obviously this is a subtle show of control, in my opinion. Is if you look at the Australian Prime Minister's fists, okay? Now he comes in, immediately his fists are clenched, right? His legs are very close to one another. So he's taking up very little space. He's hunched over. He's hunched. He's got his fist clenched. His legs are incredibly close to one another, very tight. And I can't see this here, but I'm hoping you can. Let me try and maximize it. Okay, well, I've just zoomed into my own computer. My apologies. But you'll see he's got this very awkward smile on his face. It's a complete indication of nerves. The fist being clenched is I believe, feels uncomfortable in that proximity of being so close to someone, whereas the other person has brought him that close. He's taking up very little space and he's hunching over. So it's wild. It's showcasing complete inferiority in the power dynamics that you see here on the initial greeting. So if you were to assess that first impression, you are not knowing who these people are. Obviously, we've got our own biases and previous assessment of each person. You would say, hey, this person is someone who is, lack of a better word, intimidating or trying to showcase, I am the person driving this interaction. This person looks very nervous. Now that may all be strategic, because I don't know, strategically showing nerves and giving someone the power, like I've probably said many times here, can be a great ploy. I've had to do that many times. And that is essentially what I do on most interactions, because I want to be the low status person in most interactions, because I don't want to be intimidating a stranger who is, especially in a environment where things can change like this. So it may be completely strategic, but you can see the nervous mannerisms here are quite evident. I've got a note here. This is kind of a masterclass of comfort under pressure, because Trump shows no mannerisms of being uncomfortable and actually controls that interaction, which is, and the more at ease you are in someone else's personal space without being creepy, weird, or strange, I'm sure the caveats you understand, showcases a level of strength, control, and confidence. So you can actually showcase confidence by being comfortable in very close proximity to people, which, again, I remember a very recent interaction with a person who was acting very eccentric and was entering my personal space consistently, purely to test me whether I am comfortable in that situation, in that environment, right? So I had to stand my ground. Moving away, strategically, you have to then use your words to move away and disarm the situation. But moving away when someone is trying to test you is to see, are you comfortable? Are you at ease in typically a place where most people will feel a level of discomfort? Let me move it to here. The thing I noticed here, which I think is evident to every person, is the Australian Prime Minister's incredibly over-the-top smile. I hope you can see that as clearly as you can probably see it in the video. Is out of control. Like, Donald Trump here is not really smiling. He's got a very neutral expression. Whereas Anthony Albanese is looking like a puppy who's about to get a treat. His he's smiling excessively. It's like he's met the crush of his life and he is showcasing so much adoration. It is way over the top, excessive. He's at 120% of what a smile should be. So I'm going to bet that he is just nervous, right? And he is incredibly, incredibly, maybe not incredibly. Let me take that word, the definer off. Is he may just be intimidated or tense or maybe caught off guard. Maybe he hasn't slept. He just came out of a flight. Bang! You're meeting Donald Trump. Of course, that's going to maybe put you in a fight or flight situation. But I'm sure he's been in these situations a lot. You're the prime minister of a country. But this level of smiling is outrageous. Is outrageous. He looks like he might even have a little bit of urine in his underwear at the moment, and probably needs a toilet break to change his pants and keep going. But it doesn't seem like a nice to see you smile, which is, or potentially a little bit, but this is like a shield. He's using it as a shield of nerves, because when you're very nervous, you do an over the top smile to hopefully disarm the tension, and that's very evident in this interaction. Now, here's what I noted down here, so I can bring this up. This was very interesting, and I might just play it for a couple of seconds and then bring it back and comment on it, which I love as a strategy that I try and use personally a lot in a similar situation. Let me play it. I'll play the next 2 seconds. Let me go back a bit. So let's go.
Ready, face.
Now, you may not have seen it, or maybe it's not even that relevant. I feel this is strategic. Okay, let me just play it, scrub while it's in pause. They meet each other. Hello, hello, yada, yada. I don't really care about the words. And you notice here, there is a subtle look away from Donald Trump. He looks away while puppy dog Australian PM is admiring his ex-girlfriend that he's still in love with. And it's like a strategic look away and then look back, right? And it's a look away it's while the handshake is in progress. So I'll read out my notes because I had a bit of thinking around it. While the handshake is still in progress, Trump briefly breaks eye contact, glances away before returning focus a moment later. Now, in power dynamics, that's not really a distraction. That is used strategically. Again, there's all these repeated body language cues that it's like a status cue. Again, I may be biased because I know this is what Trump loves to do, is showcase he is the man. Egotistically, I have to be at the top of most interactions, I would believe. It affects his ego if he is not the highest status person in any space. So again, it's you're talking to someone, you're mid-shaking hands. It is very unusual to look away and look back, but it's to kind of say, hey, I can move this interaction at any time possible. And the way you can strategically use that, which I have, is when someone is really, really trying to get your attention and feel like they are controlling that interaction and you want to get a level of control back. The people that you are intimidated of, people that intimidate you, those that you are always tense around, you will never break eye contact because you're so worried about looking away and them feeling like this person is not giving me the entirety of their attention. But the strategic look away showcases I am comfortable enough in my skin in this interaction that I can move away and look elsewhere while you may be giving me all your attention, and I will return it back when I choose and deem suitable. So it was subtle, but I feel like it was done strategically. But not that he's thinking about it. He's just built this into a system with so many reps. And he's kind of flipping between dominance and rapport. So dominance, I'm looking away, I'm the one in charge, and now here I'm giving you the attention, we're building that rapport. And another thing on that is sometimes confidence, people believe, comes from words. And we know the statistics, whatever it is. I should know this off the top of my head. 86.9% of confidence of part of a communication is body language. 80 whatever percent is all body language. The words don't mean as much. So if you want to showcase true confidence, sometimes it is these subtle movements. It's not the one who talks aloud. It's not the one who beats their chest. It's not the yelling and screaming and being the gorilla, the gorilla, the 4,000-pound gorilla in the jungle. It is the one who can break the moment comfortably. I can break this moment and I can build the connection whenever I feel like it. I am holding this interaction at my own pacing. But if two people are trying to do that, it's a little bit more tricky to navigate. Anyway, let's not get off topic. The next note I had here is puppy, which I think we've kind of overdone. But you can see in this interaction, Anthony Albanese, even while Trump is not even looking at him or paying any attention, has still got that excessive smile, the gaze completely locked in at all times through this interaction. And the only way to describe it is a puppy. Now, like I said, I am not trying to say it's good or bad. None of it's good or bad. It's all strategic. This is a very strategic interaction. This is as strategic as an interaction gets. It's two political heads of a political party and of a country trying to play the game. They're all there to do something. They're all there because they're wanting something. They want to use body language, communication, any sort of communication strategy to get the outcome they want. This is essentially all a game. And at the moment, if we're analyzing it, the game here is Trump has got control. Anthony Albanese is coming in as, I am letting you take charge, but I am your puppy. I am here being guided by you, right? That's what we're gathering, and it is a strategic game. But here you can see he is completely locked in, smiling at all times while Trump is directing the conversation. He's pointing away and saying, let's move here. And Anthony Albanese is going with his direction. And it could be classic diplomatic warmth, right? Like this could just be, I'm giving you as much warmth as I need to disarm you, give you what you need. Like I'm saying the same thing because they eventually signed some agreement. Again, like I said, I don't know anything politically. They signed some agreement, so maybe that is what he wanted. I'm giving you all the diplomatic warmth. I'm not coming in with any hostility. I'm not coming with any sort of, I'm going to fight you for something. That's not the energy he's coming with. And maybe that is what he wanted. So works out. And maybe he got exactly what he wanted. But the dance of the power in politics here, one is leading the energy. The other one is mirroring or giving as much warmth and light to the person leading the charge. And that is definitely clear in this interaction. Couple of more points, and then that is essentially as much as I can analyze a 20-second video. Now, even here, I just want to show movement, right? It is very difficult to do. So again, I don't know the age of Donald Trump. He is an elderly person. So maybe movement, I am reading into a strategic ploy, whereas it just could be he's just old as fuck and he can't move as much. But if I'm scrubbing through this, through the whole video, look at the amount of movement in hands, in legs, in facial expressions, in everything, even while communicating. And this is very hard to do. I'm someone who moves my hands a lot, and I'm aware of it. So sometimes when I need to minimize hand movement, I do try and do it, because that is where you signal confidence, ease, etc., etc. But there is very minimal movement in this entire interaction by the US president, whereas the Australian Prime Minister is full of movement. Fists being clenched, his side by side, legs going in, legs going out, changing space, and then putting his chest out, chest in, hunching forward, moving back. A lot of movement going on, whereas Donald Trump, on the other hand, has had very little movement. And like I said, he could just be a very elderly man who can't move much. But I am going to suspect it is the initial greeting, and the initial greeting is he wants to showcase power. You are in my house, I am running the show. Without saying it, but it is on display. And even while talking, this is great. A lot of people have a problem of, when answering a question, they do a lot with their hands, with their body, with facial expressions. And he says something here, and I'll let it play. And there is very, very little movement.
Australia.
We love them.
What do you hope to accomplish today with the Prime Minister?
A lot.
We love them. See, I move my hands. He doesn't move his hands. We love them. That's training. And the stress on the word love. We love. It is to, again, rapport. He's building that rapport by saying we love them. Love. He's just stressing the word love to say we love Australia. And he's articulating that one word with complete confidence, but also projecting to say the word love is what I want to signal in this first interaction before we get into our Oval Office meetings. And posture, you can, again, older people not going to have as great a posture as younger people, but the posture is broad shoulders, standing apart, shoulders apart, broad shoulders, legs apart, taking up as much space as possible without being flamboyant and just very strange, like you're mansplaining while standing. It is all exuding confidence. I am the person in charge here, and I'm running the show. So a few good takeaways here, because I want to summarize. If you watched this far, firstly, thank you for watching my first fidgety and all over the place live. They will get better, but you got to start somewhere. And I love doing this, and I have never done it on a public setting. I normally do it in private and then put my own notes, but I wrote my notes and I'm like, let's make it into a video. So anyway, I hope you like it. And if you do, I'll obviously do more, but I want to summarize so you can take away some shit. If you're hanging out with me, you can take something away and go, I can implement this. Stillness is confidence. That is paramount. If you can remain as still and at ease as much as you can in the personal space of someone, in a greeting, in any sort of high pressure interaction, because that is what I love to analyze, high pressure communication. Stillness is confidence, right? The more still you can be, less shaking of my head, less shaking of hands. Again, hand gestures are very important to me because I use them strategically. But in many of these sort of situations where you want to exude power, I will not move anything whatsoever, because stillness is complete confidence. So if that's the only thing you take away, that is incredibly powerful. Be still in someone's personal space. Be still in any tough interaction. You're getting grilled in a boardroom meeting. There's a hierarchical tug of war. Stay still. Don't flinch. And I'm going to show you something that happened in the Oval Office meeting where it was handled quite well. Stillness, very important. The other thing, and I'm trying to go, okay, can I leave with 2 or 3 things? 3 is a good number to digest. So 1 we've got through. Number 2 is Okay, if we're talking pure power dynamics, is the handshake, the initial greeting, there is a lot you can do in that one space. Don't stretch. Again, it comes back to the same thing. Stillness. You can keep as close as you want. Stay close. Shake hands. You want to be neutral? Be neutral. You want to showcase slight dominance? Do that. You want to strategically give the dominance to the other person? Hand down. So your positioning of your hand, again, as far reaching as you want to be, depending on what strategy you're trying to employ. You want to be the nice guy, the warmth guy, the guy who's exuding, you're the guy, you're the man, you're the woman, you're the person in charge. Let me let you run the ship. Hand down, give them all the power. You want to portray, I've got this. I'm the cleaner. I'm the alpha. Then slight. Don't do that. Like that's too obvious. Just a slight turn that I've got control here. And number 3, be okay and comfortable. Showcase is comfortable. If that is what you want to employ, is breaking the current interaction. You are okay to break. You have mastery of the control here. You can switch off tension, switch on charm. There is the ability to do to keep it in your control. And by strategically looking away, you showcase control. Okay, good. Next time, I'm actually going to write the summary notes, so it just makes it super easy. I'm going to fire them off because I was trying to think of them while giving them to you. But next time, bang, 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 and we make this efficient. Now, let me turn this bad boy off. Okay, and I'm going to play this one.
It's taken 9 months to get this meeting. Have you had?
Hang on. Before I let it play any further, this is the official signing thing where they had, and this was absolutely fucking funny. But the only thing, the interaction's funny, and I love funny. But the thing I want to show here is how it was handled by the Australian ambassador, ex-PM Kevin Rudd, who actually gets roasted in this interaction to some extent in a humorous manner, lighthearted manner. But it was a great display of body language, how he handled it. Stillness showcases confidence. So it was awesome to see, right? It was awesome to see that he just let it slide, because I'll let it play, but I'm prefacing it by if you watch it now, you see any excessive, nuanced, excessive movement, excessive response would have had the opposite effect. Okay, any too much defensiveness here would have had the opposite effect. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, let me play it.
Had any concerns with this administration, with its stance on Palestine, climate change, or even things the ambassador said about you in the past, the Australian ambassador?
I don't know anything about him. I mean, if he said bad, then maybe he'll like to apologize. I really don't know. Did an ambassador say something bad about him? Don't tell me. I don't. Where is he? Is he still working for you?
Yeah.
You said bad?
Before I took this position, Mr. President.
I don't like you either. I don't, and I probably never will. Great to.
So that was it there. So he didn't know the ambassador was in the room, which is old mate Kevin Rudd down here with the glasses, and then the done in I assume a jokey manner or maybe a hostile manner, because it seems like Donald Trump doesn't have any reservations of saying the thing he wants to say, which again is a showcasing of confidence. I will say the thing I want to say to someone's face. A lot of people can't do that. But the way Kevin Rudd responded, if you watch it back now, and that's to the bottom of your screen, the man with the glasses and the white hair.
Yeah.
You said bad?
Before I took this position, Mr. President.
I don't like you either. I don't, and I probably never will. Great.
That's hilarious. Watch both, because it's interesting to see how Donald Trump actually poses it, because he knows the person's in his room. He maybe when he said the first thing, he didn't know the ambassador was actually in the room. He probably didn't know the ambassador was directly opposite him. Everyone else is laughing to relieve tension here. Laughter relieves tension. It's saying, let me laugh because this is getting tense. But you see Donald Trump here leans in a little bit because he doesn't worry about tension. He's not worried. He's not worried by sitting in a moment of tension. And he leans in a little bit, looks him directly in the eye, delivers it as a joke, then with a slight smirk to disarm the tension, leaving it kind of mysterious whether it is a joke or he actually doesn't like him.
Before I took this position, Mr. President,
I don't like you either. I don't, and I probably never will. Great to have.
And also he does have control of moving it to the next person, which again, he goes to immediately points to the next person to have a question by shutting him down and saying, I'm directing this. Whereas letting it breathe for a little bit and letting the person respond would actually showcase Trump was more okay with the tension. But anyway, that was interesting. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it. This is just me hanging out, doing what I love to do, and which is I love breaking down high pressure communication situations. And I will continue to do this, but tell me what you thought. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up or a comment or whatever. And as I get better at this, I'll have a better way of responding and looking at chats and whatever. Take care. Have a good day.